with just some introductions, and there may be a few more people joining in the process. But I'm Dale Azrael. I'm longtime core faculty in mindfulness-based transpersonal counseling and also teach in religious studies. And this is going to be a presentation, as you know, from CACE. But what is CACE? The Center for the Advancement of Contemplative Education, which formed in 2013. And one of the main people in the process of forming was Dr. Judith Simmer-Brown, Professor Emeritus, through her work with Chuck Leaf, our past president. And Charlotte Rotterdam is the director of CASE. She's on leave right now. Jordan Qualia is the research director. Carla Burns is the program manager. And the CASE Council is a faculty committee consisting of Marina Dorian, who is our chair, Michael Franklin, Jovanina Jobson, myself, and Carla Burns, who's out sick today. I'd like to ask if people who are in your boxes, if you would be willing to introduce yourself and which department you teach in.
I guess I'll go. Phil Stanley, Wisdom Traditions.
I'm Cynthia Drake. I'm in the Interdisciplinary Studies Department.
Welcome, Antonio. We're just introducing ourselves, our name, and our program. You are muted.
Yes, I went myself to another meeting on Bhutan. For some reason, I clicked the wrong one. Glad to be here.
Will you say your name and department?
Sure, Antonio Nunez, and I teach the mindfulness-based transpersonal counseling program.
Thanks. And Susan, we're doing just introductions, our name and our department.
I'm Susan Burgraff, Contemplative Psychology undergraduate department. Good to see everybody.
Yeah.
Likewise.
Hi, my name's Serena, and I am new to Naropa, and I teach remotely in the art therapy undergrad program. So I'm excited to meet all of you and to learn more about Naropa.
Good, thank you. Can you just say your name and department?
Yes, hi, I'm Gretchen. I will be in the Masters of Divinity program that's starting this fall.
Thank you.
My name's Peter Grossenbacher. I teach in contemplative psychology.
Hello, I'm Chris DeMarco, and I teach in the transpersonal art therapy program.
Glad to meet you.
You too.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Teresa Vanderson, faculty in the mindfulness-based transpersonal counseling program, and also the chair of the program.
Thank you. So I think, Michael, this completes our introductions.
Yeah, wonderful. So I will share my screen here and we'll get started. All right. Should we actually begin with a bow? Or I just needed to set that up. Let's go ahead and share a bow. Okay. And Michael is going to facilitate a contemplative practice for us. And I'll share the screen for this. Okay.
So I have a habit of collecting quotes, and I do a exercise with my students each week around quotes, and it relates to the idea of the fertility of emptiness and how creative work and artistic expression is such a good place to explore and experience and experiment with how wisdom can come forth from the fertility of emptiness, and how surprises are waiting for us when we engage in creative processes. So here's what I'm going to invite us to do. Please get something to write with. And I want you to notice the two quotes by Rilke and Toni Morrison. And if you could take a moment to just read both quotes. And then once you read them, I'd like you to consider one of two possibilities. One way you could go is to just write, based upon the two quotes, anything that comes forth for you. Or, which can be as interesting, maybe even more interesting, is to write some way that the two quotes for you connect. So you're writing the connection. A third possibility that is influenced by the two quotes. And if you would like to just begin writing. And while you're writing, I will read each quote. Rilke says, "Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final." And Toni Morrison says, "I am all the things I have ever loved." If both of these quotes could marry, what would the third expression be? And this would be a good time to, for everybody, or Marina, would it be okay if everybody came on screen for a moment? So I'd really appreciate it if everybody would put their cameras on. Please. There's 16 of us here.
Is the chat visible to the moderators?
Yes.
Oh, I see,
Okay, good.
Geraldine. Thank you.
Yeah, I may be going in and out because I don't want to make a lot of noise or distraction. So
Okay. Thank you. So would anybody just care to read what they wrote briefly? Yes, Geraldine, please.
it made me think of like a train navigating through all sceneries. It makes it none of them, it just passed by.
Thank you. Would somebody else like to read? And just read what you wrote. No need to say anything other than that.
Continuing totality.
Thank you, Peter. Anyone else?
Trust the process. It is always safe when you find unconditional love.
Maybe one or two more.
The love felt, whether past or present, is a reminder I lived and keep living.
Thank you.
I can read mine. It's unfinished. Letting it be loved, I and you and all things, is a path rather than an ending. Spiraling experiences of blank.
Okay. So we're beginning this way because it's always nice to write your way towards what's waiting for you, or to create your way towards what's waiting for you, and to discover the wisdom that's waiting for you that you are and that you hold. And so this is just a brief way to explore that together and begin together. So thank you all for your participation.
And we'd like to offer a different kind of inquiry about contemplative education. And Marina, will you be able to divide us into triads?
Yes.
And so that would be 3 people talking randomly, divided. And the question or the prompt is, what is your most vivid experience of contemplative education? And here we're intentionally not defining the words contemplative education and want to just see what comes to your mind. What is your most vivid experience of contemplative education? And there are no wrong answers. There can't possibly be. So please trust whatever comes to your mind, whatever memory. And we'll take about just a couple of minutes, at most 3 per person. And then we'll join back in our larger group.
All right, we'll come back. The others are going to beam back in a moment. Okay, great. Everybody's back. Did you want to say anything else about that, Dale, or should
Well,
we
I would love to,
move
but I'm
on?
staying on our schedule, so I
Yeah.
think we need to keep moving to the next section.
Yes.
But what a treat to hear what came up for people, the memories.
Yeah. So folks can we talked about folks saving that maybe for the end if we have some discussion. But I'd like to reshare my screen here, and Michael is going to tell us about an introduction to, we wanted to share with you this study that we've worked on over the past 2 years, looking at contemplative education across Naropa, across all of the disciplines. First, I just wanted to acknowledge that, we definitely use the foundation of many, many researchers and scholars and practitioners at Naropa and beyond. Too many to really mention individually, but we wanted to acknowledge all the scholarship on contemplative education that's come and before this it inspired us. So Michael's going to share a little bit about what we were up to and the purpose of this.
Yes, we as a committee started asking questions, and part of where we began was with, like we began today, instead of what is a tangible memory of contemplative education, we were asking ourselves, well, what do we mean? And the idea of a consensus reality was not so precise. And when it was precise, it was as if we were using the same talking points that personally I've heard over and over again. And it was very important to me to expand this idea beyond the talking points, and in some cases, the stereotypes of contemplative education. And so we decided to go deeper. And what was very important to me, and what I really felt strongly that we explore, was the idea of contemplative education within the discipline areas. So discipline-based approaches to contemplative education, because writing in poetics has different answers the than somatic psychology or someone in the arts and theater. So we became discipline focused and specific, and we began to do interviews and generate more refined and really interesting views that came forth that were so far beyond the usual talking points. So I'll stop there.
Yeah. So, as some of you were part of our project here, what we did, this was over the past 2 years. So I have to say, some of the departments look a little different now. Some folks are new and some have left. But what we did was, over the course of 2 years, we employed a qualitative phenomenological design where we actually went to faculty meetings, and some were smaller group meetings across the whole university, every department represented. And we did focus group style interview discussions, which we recorded. Then we used that recording, we transcribed it, and we used that as our data, where, we asked folks pretty much, how do you do contemplative education in your program? We asked them those questions. What does it look like in your program? How do you employ that in terms of your pedagogy, the rigor, incorporating it with Jedi and, environmental focus. And we spent quite a bit of time coding all of those transcripts and ended up organizing them through a view, practice, result framework, which we'll present it, quite briefly, and then we'll also, send out a summary sheet that has a little bit more on that. So our first part, we'll have Giovannina sharing with us a bit about what we found in the view of contemplative education shared across the departments.
Thank you. So I've always been fascinated with the idea of view, and it is primarily comes from Buddhism, and it's used a lot in teaching various topics in Dharma in terms of what is this teaching, what does it mean, where is it going, and what do you have to do to accomplish it, what is the goal. And so in working with a lot of the information that we received from all of the people we talked with, the view arose in a very natural way. And so we used it as an organizing method as well for us. So understanding the concept and application of view is very important. And it's about establishing the foundation for a course of action and then relying on that set of ideas, inspirations, etc., to support the action or the journey that we would follow. And so the view of contemplative education actually began about 50 years ago with the founding of Naropa, with Trungpa Rinpoche and other very brave people at the time. And there was the inspiration of starting a learning institution based on certain ideas. And so any view or new idea, would challenge an existing condition, pre-existing condition. And so that was based on that conventional education as it was. And again, this is a pretty broad term. There was something unsatisfactory about that. And so an alternative was proposed. And that alternative, we call it an experiment. And I think we all agree that we're still experimenting. It's an ongoing experiment, this process of contemplative education. And so part of the experiment was about relighting or reinvigorating the spirit of education so that it could perhaps produce or create a different kind of pathway and perhaps a different result. And so, as I said, this is very much in process. And so this view that we came up with based on all our information actually continues to serve as a reference point as we apply the contemplative pedagogy in the various programs and classrooms. And it's a way of referring back. Are we doing it? Are we not doing it? What are we doing? How are we doing it? And so we came up with some basic tenets that that really make up this view of contemplative education. And one of them begins with the view of human nature and spirituality. And there's a lot to say about that we will look into more as we go on. But this is very new, and it came out of every single meeting that we had with people, that there seems to be a trust and adherence to the view that all human beings have inherent wisdom and the potential for transformation. And then two main key aspects of that, which you all know by now, are the concepts of basic goodness and brilliant sanity. And so with these two concepts, it already sets a completely different foundation for the application of any kind of pedagogy. And so, with basic goodness and brilliant sanity, this combines both the psychology side of our education and then the humanities or the liberal arts aspect. And so this is based on self-knowledge that individuals already have, and respect for their inherent wisdom and for their natural qualities that can come forth through contemplative education and through the cultivation of present moment awareness through mindfulness practices and other kinds of contemplative practices. And these practices allow students to uncover their true nature, find a sense of belonging, meaning, and purpose in their lives, as well as connecting with the sacredness of all life. And so spirituality is, in contemplative education, is very broad and inclusive, and it transcends religious frameworks to include practices that promote self-knowledge and liberation. And so another important tenet is the cultivation of awareness and compassion. And again, there are many practices that go into specifics about this, but again, These practices develop clarity, concentration, emotional intelligence, encouragement to work with obstacles and difficulties, and also the cultivation of compassion, the actual desire to relieve the suffering of others, as well as compassionate action and self-compassion. The third, and I'm calling these tenets, we're calling them tenets. The third one is embodied presence and embracing uncertainty. And so this is embracing ambiguity, not knowing, being more at ease with discomfort, understanding complexity, and cultivate flexibility of perspectives so that we can shift between inward reflection and outward engagement. It's taking responsibility for our own learning, for our own state of mind, our own state of being. Sometimes at Naropa, we use the phrase for this, being able to be on the spot or taking one's seat. Also, the idea of presence without self-consciousness, authentic presence, and dignity in that presence. The other tenet that's extremely important at Naropa, and that is the view that we have of the self and what transformation is. The transformation of any preset, conditions, patterns, ideas, image of who we are or what we want to be. And this path emphasizes that personal aspect where direct experience and deep inner work, found also in the arts and meditation and emotional reflection, is also a tool for healing and self-knowledge. Understanding the self is not a monolithic existence, but as a flow, as energy, a flow of events, almost as a verb. This expands the view of the self beyond individual identity through personal contemplation and understanding interconnection. And the final one is interdependence and social justice. That all go very much along with interconnection as well. Interdependence has come so much to the forefront of mainstream due to so much of the climate change awareness, so much of the events happening all over the world, and globalization and communication that's made interdependence much more obvious than it ever was. But there's definitely a deep work with this, both in a personal way and in community. And the cohort system really helps understanding this. And social justice has always been a core value at Naropa University in terms of really being trained and understanding our own biases, confronting biases in general, understanding systemic inequity, and fostering inclusion and collective healing. So there's a lot more to say about all this. So in many ways, these are a lot of words that all need unpacking that we can do as we continue and as we get into more of the details of the individual programs and what they shared with us.
Thank you. And so then I'd like to share the practice aspect that we found, the themes, and then some examples of contemplative practices and pedagogies at Naropa. So we uncovered 6 themes around practice. the body and embodiment, healing and transformation, the arts, creative expression, classroom pedagogy as experiential learning, social justice in our being and the earth justice, and then finally the role of the teacher as a contemplative educator. So first and foremost, at the heart of contemplative education, we found, the theme of body and embodiment, which is an understanding of the mind-body relationship and the non-duality of the mind-body relationship. Practices such as yoga, meditation, and somatic work and are cultivating mindfulness and embodied wisdom. And the body's really seen as a resource and also as a way to deepen self-awareness that connects students to their experience and also then has them be present, with the world around them. So, at the heart of it, there is a body there, and that this is an important part of our experience. The second theme having to do with healing and transformation. We found that, in the practices at Naropa, healing is not something that's just personal. It's not just healing for an individual or for the sake of an individual, but it's seen as something communal, relational, and systemic. And the work of transformation is thought to begin with the self and then move outward. So it's through a variety of contemplative practices that students are guided into this understanding of their views and their habitual patterns. We have practices like the Joanna Macy grief circles, Council of All Beings, helping individuals process collective sorrow, deepening connection to the earth, and also addressing environmental grief and a sense of responsibility. And, thirdly, with the arts and creative inquiry, artistic expression is something that's an essential component of contemplative education. And this could be writing, visual arts, arts-based research, and performance. And we see this in our practices. Many of us are familiar with the spontaneous poem. We have contemplative writing, visual arts. And these things allow students to engage in radical play and exploring both personal transformation and societal transformation. These creative practices, they really support students into tapping into their inner worlds and then integrating that into their experiences and what they're doing on the outside. In terms of classroom pedagogies and experiential learning, that, the experiential learning is something that is really fostered through embodied learning, practices, again, like meditation, somatic exercises, mindful inquiry. These are ways that encourage students to connect not only with themselves and their peers, but then later on to the outside world. Some of the examples of what we have, specific practices in the classroom that were found. These are just, they're not limited to these, but of course we have many forms of mindfulness practice and meditation, deep listening, self-reflective assignments, rigorous inquiry, compassionate communication, like nonviolent communication, space awareness, on the spot exercises, transpersonal perspectives, process focused work, and the use of rituals. We have warriors exams. We use body, speech, mind practices in some of our departments, and also the use of retreats and the use of intensive practices, and also interfaith dialogue, looking at differences, honoring our differences, and rites of passage. These are just an incomplete list of some of the practices that are done in the classroom. We also found the role of social justice in our being in the earth, in that contemplative education emphasizes social justice and environmental stewardship. So it asks students to engage with questions of privilege, bias, oppression, and helping them foster a connection to the earth. Especially the principle of inner being, or this interconnectedness of all life, can help recognize their role as being part of a healing community. So in contemplative practices, students engage in decolonizing work, permaculture, and restorative justice as a few specific practices. And lastly, this is, I think, very important for us, is that we see our teachers play a crucial role in contemplative education. And our teachers are not just instructors from the outside, but they are embodied practitioners, and they embody the practices that they teach, modeling mindfulness, authenticity, deep listening, vulnerability, and creating a space of safety and connection with the students. And, it's through this personal engagement with the practices that our, professors, that our faculty, that informs their pedagogy. So that's just a brief summary of what I wanted to share with you. And next we have what some of the outcomes are and our conclusion presented by Dale.
Sorry, I was muted. Let's just take a moment. I'm going to ask you to look away from the screen. If you can look out a window and let your eyes relax, that would be the best thing for your eyes. But if there's no window, just gazing with a soft gaze into the furthest corner of the room. Let our eyes have a different experience from when we're looking at the screen. And notice what you feel in your body, the sensations that you feel. And you may want to move, stretch, let your body just have some kind of difference from sitting still. But still gazing away from the screen to let your eyes rest. And then, if you would like to, placing the palm of your hand on your heart center, in the center of your chest, and just noticing what feelings are present. So we have just a little bit more to end, and then we're going to be asking you for your questions and observations. Well, what do we find is the effect of contemplative education in the many different ways that it's practiced at Naropa? The student outcomes. And I would say that it depends on the department, but as an example, the department that I teach in, counseling department, we ask the students to self-report, to observe themselves, especially in a 2-semester class or as they go into their 2nd and 3rd year. And then they're also receiving feedback from us, their teachers, as we watch them go through educational processes in the course. And then in a counseling program, they're also receiving feedback at their practicum sites and at their internship sites. So outcomes are based on many kinds of reporting. But one thing is that the person of the learner becomes resourced and strengthened. So in our educational process, of course, there's theoretical learning, and the students use some of the practices that we do to refine and clarify their ability to think, and also to use their conceptual thinking skillfully, and to notice when they're getting distracted and to be able to bring themselves back. So their self-awareness becomes stronger, their resilience, even when different circumstances in their life are kind of tossing them around, that they're more able to show up, even if they feel vulnerable, and still do what needs to be done. And they become very skillful in navigating a range of emotions, and at the same time recognizing and understanding the impact of their emotions on themselves and other people. At the same time, as they're learning and as they're developing their skills, they're bringing forth their ability to engage when it's difficult, when things are complex, when things are ambiguous and there's a lot of not knowing. And also to be able to stay present even when there's conflict, to not shut down, but also to not be unskillful in conflict. So that means the ability to tolerate and feel a range of different emotions, not lose their clarity, be able to communicate in a way that's authentic and also has compassion for themselves and the others, whoever's in the situation. As Marina said, there's a lot of work with embodiment, so that mind and body are always synchronized. That's our training, is to keep coming back to synchronizing our mind and body, as we just did a few moments ago. And we might think of it as widening circles of interbeing, understanding and living with a wider and wider sense of ethical and ecological responsibility. So may we have the next slide? So here's a conclusion, and I'm just going to read it and ask you to just see how it lands on you, see how this feels, and then we'll be asking you in just a moment.
And then we have the full definition.
Yes, I know. Contemplative education at Naropa integrates body, mind, and spirit to foster deep personal and collective transformation, preparing students not only to know, but to be present, responsive, and engaged in the world. So you could say that that's a kind of bringing together of the findings, the conclusion. And then the next slide, please. And so what is it? Can we actually put this into words? Personally, I think it's a process. I think I'm just going to pull out some of the key words: contemplative education, a holistic approach, integrating academic learning with contemplative practices. So there's the word contemplative in our definition, which tells me we need to do some more work on this. Support deep personal and collective transformation. And what is that? What is your experience of that? Cultivation of awareness, the understanding of interconnectedness, practice of compassion. Engage with self and world in authentic and mindful way. Meditation, other practices, somatic work, the arts, creativity, developing skills to navigate complexity, embrace uncertainty, and contribute meaningfully and beneficially to their communities and our earth. And I want to underline this last phrase, that the education has outcome in terms of what is the student, what is their contribution to their own life, to their society, to their community, and to the larger environment that we all share. And so, as we say with contemplative education, the student not only becomes knowledgeable, but the person of the student develops. Educare, to draw forth. The student becomes more embodied, compassionate, responsive, and socially engaged. And so we go back to the traditional ancient image of the two-bladed sword. One blade cuts through confusion about the subject matter, and at the same time, the other blade cutting through confusion about who we are as learners, and I would say who we are as teachers. In my experience, it's an endless discovery. So we'd like to ask now if you have observations, questions, anything that you would like to comment on.
Before we do, I just want to make one other observation. So this was a time-bound research project, and we've had quite a change in faculty since we completed this. And it would be very different responses from the disciplinarians today. And in our last meeting, we talked about this kind of research project should maybe be done every 2 years, since it's going to yield changing information as our faculty grows and changes.
Well said, thank you. Important. Are there comments or questions?
I'll chime in. I was curious where the dimension of self-knowledge and also working with suffering fits into this definition. There's the mention of transformation, but it I don't know. There's a real pointed edge to this at many times. You know, the path isn't just love and light.
No. Do you have a phrase that you would suggest to add?
Well, it's such a finely woven wording. I don't know. I mean, the thought of self-knowledge seems to me really crucial. Mm-hmm. And then somehow acknowledging that there is, you know, a real challenge in this path. Mm-hmm. Often.
Yes.
You know, personal suffering and the witnessing of societal suffering, structural oppression, these sort of mm-hmm. things. It might give it more sort of heft.
I think so, and also understanding of how suffering occurs, how suffering is perpetuated, and what would be other choices that could you know, make things go in a different direction.
Yeah, it's sort of implicit in transformation, but I think would benefit from unpacking it a little.
I agree. Other responses to what Phil said?
Well, there was a great deal of information that touched on this, Phil, in the discipline areas, and very hard to reflect all that was generated in these final, you know, sort of condensed definitions here. But there was a lot of comments about what you're talking and raising. It's so important to just, as we as we think about this and talk about this, that there's similarity and variation from the discipline areas. And that was one of the most fascinating outcomes to me personally.
Susan, you look like you're thinking.
Yeah, I just what Michael just said about the disciplinary is that's where it lives. So it seems to me that these abstractions feel like a meal where I'm seeing plates, dishes, and bowls and no food. Do you know what I mean? Like that, it feels like, and I know it's there. And so that I very much appreciate that, but just wondering how you can capture the food part,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have an example?
It requires like things that may not make sense out of context. The problem with the contemplative is it's in a moment, it's in a place, it's in a context, it's in a relationship. And it's like, so how do you, I don't know. I mean, Dale, it's a great question because this whole defining contemplative education project, which, I was in an earlier version of this in CASE, and did interview the faculty and, that kind of thing. And, it's interesting. It's interesting because there's an edgy quality. There's a, just like how to capture that, to, how to capture the emergent kind of edgy kind of surprising, kind of aspect. And I'm just dishing up more dishes here. Do you know what I mean? So I get that, what I'm saying is, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I tried to get it published and it was like, the feedback I got was this seems like an advertisement for Naropa. Do you know? And it was like, okay, that wasn't my intention. I mean, Naropa doesn't need that kind of advertisement. It's sort of like, just so I think the place where the best definition of contemplative education I can think of is what we see when we see students' capstone projects. Do you know, or what we see when we see, whatever level of education or whatever department, it always seems like you go to those and you're surprised or you're like, oh, I just did, I never thought of that or that kind of thing. It's like you're changed by it in some way. And the thing about students is they're so unlikely. Do you know what I mean? They're so like, that to me is the fruition of it. It's like when I say unlikely, it's like I couldn't have predicted that, or they're surprising, they're unique in different ways, and all the ways we know, just there's no cookie cutter version of it. It's like there's no typical Naropa student that I can think of. Do you know, like what would that be? It's sort of anyway, so I'm just babbling, but I'm just in it with you. I hope you hear that. I'm just appreciating this and yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate what you're saying, Susan, and it would be great to bake a big cake or something, give everybody a piece. I've often thought about publishing even just some of the essays or reflection papers that people write in the classes, creating a complete, some kind of anthology from one specific class or two, just to see where they start and where they end, just with one class. And I know that marketing is, of course, doing interviews with students to capture some of that, live, but to include it in something like this, I don't know, it's a huge challenge. That would be awesome to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. I also wanted to mention that, what we presented was just, to Susan's point, it really was just the first part that we presented what we found as like the shared key principles or the shared view of contemplative education. And then we have discipline-specific themes too, that a lot of them existed as kind of outliers, like in our data analysis, like what didn't fit into the soup. And that's yet to come. So that'll be coming. But yeah, and thank you for all your work in the beginning of this.
Well, just as a response to that, it's like central tendency, the average or something is probably the least important. It's the variability that's really, it's the variability tells the story.
That's right. I think there has to be a way to bring in some of the richness of the specific conversations we had with different teachers, so each of them saying, "This is how I do things in my offering to students." So I think I agree with you that that's where the richness is.
And we do have summaries from the discipline areas that get closer, Susan, to what you're talking about.
Yes. So I know we have other hands, but I just want to say I really appreciate your point, Susan. Cynthia?
Yeah, I would actually cede to Geraldine.
Okay. Gerald?
Hi. I just wanted to share my perspective, which I don't know how much value it has, but I am not a student in Naropa. I am considering it and still looking for certain things about it to hopefully go through with it. But I was a student at Evergreen State College, which has got a similar vibe, not every class. And the programs and the classes, and I was an adult student returning to the school that I'd been in when I was young, and both my boys were in state schools at the same time. And we use at Evergreen State College the same thing in many programs, of contemplative education, in most of our programs, except maybe some of the hard sciences. But even then, in the environmental sciences, we use a lot of contemplation. And so this thing that it's an advertising for Naropa, it's too bad because it's limiting other organizations from absorbing that, because I've noticed that there is a huge difference when, especially in counseling programs, when students learn about themselves, they become much better counselors and therapists and students and absorb things. And I was watching parallel my students in state schools where they were just like going through the motions and not really getting into, not connect. They didn't create community with their classmates. They created community outside with their professors. It was really hard. And I think if it's advertising, it's not advertising for Naropa. It's interesting that other schools won't accept it as part of improving and deepening their relationship and their connection between their students and with their faculty and their students. So, it would be great if you guys would publish it, because maybe it is an advertisement for the way you already do stuff. But I have seen contemplative and non-contemplative at the same time, and I find that it's a very good way to create better students and more connected students. That's all. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. And Cynthia, there is time if you want to say what you had in mind.
Thank you, Dale. Yeah, I was resonating a lot with what Susan said. So, and Susan, I feel like you articulated it in a very colorful and vibrant way. So that was helpful. There was something about the language that started to feel flat to me, and I know that their language is tricky in that sometimes the overuse of certain terms, words, phrases, kind of leaches the life force out of it. And so being able, like as Susan was saying, being able to go back to student outcomes, like the actual what students produce, the writing, the presence, the work that students produce, I think is a very powerful testament to what contemplative education is here at Naropa. I was also curious. Oh, and I guess also I was remembering in my Department of Interdisciplinary Studies when Marina came to one of our meetings, and there were 3 core faculty who sat with Marina and talked about our understanding of contemplative pedagogy in our department. And that was such an amazing meeting. I came away from that meeting feeling so charged with excitement and inspiration about what we do in interdisciplinary studies, what we do at Naropa. And so I, in fact, want to go back to my office and look for the notes. I know I still have them on a shelf, because I feel like something came through in that experience. And then I have a question, which we won't have time to get to if we're going to end at 4:30, but it would be lovely to hear as you continue, as CACE continues with this work. I'm curious what the differences are across disciplines, like how contemplative education shows up differently in our different departments and programs. Yeah, so those are just a few thoughts and responses that I have.
Thank you.
I have a few thoughts to offer. So many things are hard to define. We were talking about it in the small group I was in earlier, defining transpersonal psychology, for example, defining art therapy, and so on. So many things are hard to define, and there's inherent tensions in this overall project that are good tensions. One is marketing wants language for who we are and what we do. And so that was one of the driving factors to do this. Second is there was really quite a lot of variability, and we each had, and those we interviewed had their views of what contemplative education is, but there is also confusion and limitation on a full-bloom description and definition. So I guess that's a long way back to graciously saying, we think we know what we mean, but we're not sure how to talk about it. And that's implicit here. So we kept trying to ask, well, in the disciplinaries, what do we mean? And let's try to talk about it and then get towards some artifact that helps us to language it beyond, frankly, more stereotypic, like talking points or bullet points.
I'm just looking at what's in the chat. Susan, do you want to say out loud what you wrote?
Oh, it's in my face. Sorry, it was in front of the people's faces. No, I was just thinking of like how to transmit this material. How did the insights that you've drawn all these insights out of this material and you're sharing that with us. And it's like I think filming the focus groups and hearing the individual people or seeing into a classroom, sort of that type of like a more arts-based research approach. That's what I'm feeling into is just because the analytic approach of social sciences drains some important, it's almost like what's drained out is the point kind of thing. And so that's what that, because I think you're capturing something really rich, and it's like and also very specific, like the names of the faculty that were involved. Yeah, and I'm agreeing with you, Michael, even though anyway what you said in the chat, but I'm just thinking that the individual faculty and their stories matter. Do like that piece? It's like at least I found that to be true. Do you know what I mean? It's like, how we used to say there's as many definitions of contemplative education as there are faculty. There's probably more definitions than there are faculty because not everybody has just one. But and I think that's interesting. It's like it used to be that was seen as a reason, that was said critically. Do like you guys haven't figured it out yet? It's like you got so many different definitions, but in truth, that plurality is just the richness of it and the lived quality of it. So anyway, I hope you hear me thinking with you. I'm really trying to to do that. But yeah, that's That feels really important.
Yeah, thank you. It makes me just get a sense of how to go further, bring out all the tastes and the textures. Everybody can enjoy the meal that we had the privilege to enjoy.
I was imagining even a clickable thing on the website, where you could click somebody and just get a window into that. Each faculty member, just and maybe interview one of their students, because oftentimes the students know more than we do about what we're doing.
Yeah. Thank you. And thanks everybody for your comments and questions. We are at our stopping time. So I would like to just express my appreciation for all of you who came and who offered, words or questions, your own observations. I wish I could have heard what everybody said in the little breakout rooms. That's what I really wanted to hear. What was your most vivid experience? And appreciation for the members of the CACE Council. Shall we end with a bow?